shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I trust and pray you had an excellent long weekend. And if it was your birthday, as it was my cousin's, well, I hope you're still celebrating, not had to work. Well, that's part of the education, and we want to share with our good friends from the early childhood to tell you about something. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us. And if my wonderful guest wouldn't mind me saying, this is when you assemble in great company that not only can you laugh and truly love and appreciate life, but just through dialogue you can learn. So I think, learning should be a lifelong pursuit, and if we can get it right from the very early days that they enjoy it, makes it good. So our good friends from the Early Childhood Education Unit. Mr. Albert Borden, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good afternoon.
It's interesting how some of us are excited about school. Even yesterday is a public holiday, the notion of learning something and to see a young mind just so agile, so engaged, so willing to embrace. You have to be sort of encouraged by that. How to be sure that continues, when the mind gets to maybe sometimes the age of Mr. Paul next door. He's like, what? But good afternoon. I want to talk to you first before we ask Mr. Tibbetts, acting captain, chief officer, to come in. So only because I think they'd agree with me. Ladies before gentlemen, right? Learning, and as an educator, instilling that love for learning early on in our classrooms. Is that innate in the teacher, in the student, or is it something that environmental or societal that we can embrace?
I think in early childhood, it's innate. The children, they're involved in their play and they're learning every day, every little thing they do, they're learning and they're developing.
Play was the word I heard you say amongst all that. Mr. Adrian Jones, sometimes in parents and as fathers in particular, we look at play and we see it as just fun. And only after sort of exposure, maybe sometimes delivered through our teachers, say, hey, they're playing, but the actual learning, we do it. As the acting deputy chief officer in the education ministry, that idea of recess in the early days to potentially, I don't know if they still do sixth form the way we did it, but you had little study periods, then you had little allocated time where, not to say it loud, it's just the four of us talking. We played dominoes in the common room. I mean, it was about math. We weren't who's going to pay for lunch. It wasn't none of that, right? Play and learning.
Yeah, and I think what Ms. Darber said in the early childhood days it's so important that we get that in, and that children, the idea of learning through play is important, and even then, as you get older and move through school, some of the activities that you get involved in, then you can see the connection and how that connects with your actual learning as well. So I think that's really important even in our schools.
That's right, and it's sometimes we may not see the connection sometimes, but Mr. Tibbetts, plug and play. When we buy a gizmo, that was the famous term. Oh, how easy is it to install? Well, you just take it out and plug it in and it's good to go. As opposed to not long ago when we had to configure some things and you had to almost be a technician to make it work. As director of our e-government, we bought applications from the portals, the Department of Vehicles and Driver License, to whatever immigration or the DCU may use, but even in our schools, the ability to make it accessible and make it easy, adaptable, make it almost so user-friendly that it's innate. Play.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things with a portal and taking services online is you can add to it a convenience factor and reduce the knowledge and understanding necessarily that the applicant has to have to complete the process to get the assistance that they need. If you've got a paper document, well, you're going to have a lot of instructions, and they have to understand how to, and you'll say, okay, and if you said no here, skip to this and so forth. Whereas online, you can make that very seamless for the customer, and you can allow them to just, they're focusing on answering a specific question that's relevant in their case. So you simplify it and make it more convenient.
If I might, because I was looking, I try to go on the portal and pretend, I'm at this stage, and we'll tell people exactly what it was, but I remember in the early days of sort of computing, personal computing, there's a particular vendor that was perhaps more known for its graphical user interfaces, where it was simple. And then if today when we go to particular say restaurants, the person who's taking your money just presses a button and there are things identified, not unlike those early days. With this new portal that we have, would it be better for you as the guru relative to technology to explain to us, the ministry's launch of this new portal? Or should we, Ms. Deborah, you want to direct the discussion? Because I'm looking, around the table and I think, Mr. Jones is going to make sure everything is numbered incorrectly. Mr. Tibbetts, the expertise falls to you, and then Ms. Deborah has to make sure that it's presented so we can understand it as an educator.
Well, I think the reality, where eGov played, and this was really a great example of this, eGov played a facilitator role. The team, the ministry, and the team, ECAP team themselves, did a fantastic job of, we provided a steer, guidance through the process, and they executed the majority of it themselves. And it was a fantastic partnership in that regard. And I think it equips us as a government. It's back to that old analogy of fishing for someone or teaching them to fish.
Yeah.
And we were assisting them with the how to fish as opposed to trying to fish for them, and they did. I think they've done a fantastic job in that process.
But I think I could add share some with that as well, because the process actually began as we were considering how we go about automating the ECAP process. It does require our clients to provide a good bit of information, and the process was kind of long and tedious. So what we were intending to do is to reduce the time in the application process, to provide the feedback that our clients needed through the process, to increase the efficiencies, and obviously to reduce the workload on our staff who had to go through all of those applications. And so the thought of this, of the process, now it was fashioned basically on one of the other applications that we have within our ministry, and that is the scholarship application, because they have gone through that process already, and through that scholarship application they've kind of streamlined the whole application process and the approval process as well, and we wanted to do the same for ECAP. And when we started to look at it, we then realized that we could do this in a number of other areas within our ministry, because there's lots of registration processes that take place in the ministry, and we decided, let's see how we could then apply this to other areas, all with the intention of ensuring that the client, our clientele, our customers have a much more easier interface in terms of being able to make the application for these services.
And today's what, a week ago today it was launched, right? Was it last Tuesday, Ms. Deborah?
May 9th, yes.
Yeah.
Last Tuesday.
Just a week, and we had a lot of holidays and celebrations in between. What's the reception like so far? How is it?
There's quite a few applications in process, and we've had over a dozen submitted. So we're on our way. We're well on our way.
Because I know in the years that we've had these discussions, appealing to people, it was mostly paper-based. If I might add, you've done this very publicly. Everybody knows. You and your team have been available. I call it the glass house still, even in the conference room, saying to people, we're here to help you to literally fill out the forms. And now it's all online. Easier, more efficient.
It is online, and we are still here to help them, though. So they can call us if they have questions. We have had people call and say, I'm stuck here in the portal, and we're able to have a look at their application and see what their next step should be, and guide them through either on the phone, or if they're unable to access a device, we can meet with them and help them to do the online process as well.
Now, Mr. Before we take this next break, I'm thinking back to what Mr. Jones was sharing relative to other forms that just in the Ministry of Education alone have in terms of registration. But sometimes we're going through, let's take the one for scholarship applications. You're going through, you get to a point, you get stuck. You're not quite sure. How is this sort of been better, more intuitive relative to other iterations or other portals that we utilize now?
Well, I think, one of the fundamentals is thinking about the customer journey through the process, and trying to build the solution from the customer's perspective, trying to make sure that you're accommodating their needs. But best effort, you're still going to have the need to adjust and change, and so it's about also getting feedback and being able to do that. And then for that, in a stable state, hopefully a very small percentage that still have problems, being able to support them, and I think that's what Ms. Darber is attesting to there. We are working on a project as well to implement customer support solutions for customers across many different aspects in government, and we'll work with the team as that comes on board as well. But it's really around planning and designing from the customer's perspective, collecting feedback and responding to the feedback. We get quite a bit of feedback on our various portals. We typically use Happy or Not, which is a method, and the customers can provide commentary on it. Why they had a problem with an issue or whatever, and we are able to then use that to refine and then continually improve the solutions.
Right. Well, after we come back from the break, let's ask, and what is different, if anything, from the original sort of paper-based thing? Talk about eligibility. Has that changed? Deadlines and the like, so that people appreciate that this is hopefully just another attempt to make it more accessible, more convenient, more efficient, and the turnaround time more effective. All right, when we return, we'll continue the discussion. And then, we'll tell you about that later. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Are you kidding me?
Hey girl, what's wrong?
My eyeliner foundation just ran out and I have to leave Savannah in 15 minutes.
That's easy. Just stop at Savannah Pharmacy. That's where I get all of my makeup, and for a great price too.
Really?
Really, girl. Where are you going?
To Savannah Pharmacy, duh.
Wait, I'm coming too. Ran out of my favorite nail polish.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Savannah Pharmacy is just around the corner with everything you need and the hours you need it. Visit us today for fast, efficient, and professional service. We are here as a team to assist you while taking care of your health. Call us today at 946-3336.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
What exactly are the steps in the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey? Step 1 is a questionnaire where you'll be asked about your health behaviors and lifestyle choices. Step 2 involves home measurements like height, weight, and blood pressure. Lastly, Step 3 is a finger prick blood sample for cholesterol and glucose. STEPS 2023 starts on June 3rd. Learn more by logging on to www.gov.ky/steps.
Hey, K-Man, it's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's 2-for-1 Taco Tuesdays, and it's happening all day long at Tucker Restaurant and Bar up in East End and West Bay. Who doesn't love tacos, especially when they're 2-for-1? Featuring your favorite tacos like peanut chicken, blackened fish, pulled pork, vegetarian, coconut shrimp, and more. So enjoy 2-for-1 tacos and 2-for-1 margaritas every Tuesday at Tucker Restaurant and Bar all day long, East End and West Bay.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And no, we're talking about cars. No, sorry, we're talking about education. Let me turn my note over. See, this is where education informs and instructs, and the good company of Mr. Dapper Borden over there. Early childhood and care and education, right?
That's it.
Well, education is about caring, and caring is about educating. And I'm commend you for the launch of this new application where it allows many of us to do it. I think as a director of government, Mr. Tibbetts, you and your team have facilitated many platforms across government, and in the Ministry of Education in particular, not just the amount of clientele that we have, but I think Mr. Jones, as the acting deputy chief officer, we can see the importance that you were sharing. What more can we do to facilitate the ease, the convenience, the efficiency, the effectiveness of what we're doing, so that people, they see their time as being absolutely precious, and they believe, as people, we can multitask, but many of us have our devices in our hand. Is this, before I ask, Mr. Borden, Ms. Borden and Mr. Tibbetts, Mr. Jones, from that perspective, is this something that you were hoping that people, while they're at the dining table, just pick up their electronic devices and go on quick time and multitask? Would that be something that's your perspective of win?
Oh, definitely. That's exactly what we want. I mean, the way that this is set up is that you could come in and start your application process and stop and go do something else and come back to the process and complete it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a win-win for everybody. I mean, the application process is one thing too. The other thing that we were looking at is the processing of the application. In other words, how quickly we are able to get an answer back to those clients. And particularly as we're talking about students and getting those students into school, how we can make that as fast as possible. So the other aspect of it is being able now to move the process forward as quickly as possible so that we get an answer to the client as well.
So Mr. Darber, from that perspective, I remember last time your team were not just absolute, competent, but the confidentiality of applications, the review process to ensure that you looked at this thing and only liaise with the person making the application. This makes it easier, better. How does that help you?
It makes it better. Everything is compiled into one application. The applicant themselves, who's one of the child's parents or legal guardian, can actually review their application, and they can see where they are in the process at any time. They can log in and see what the activity has been on their application. But from the reviewer's perspective, everything is in one spot, and they can review it, have a checklist on one side and their review on the other side, and it is reviewed within members of the Early Childhood Unit and the Ministry of Education only. And the way the platform's set up, it evenly divides those reviews. So it's only the person that is assigned to review it sees it. The others do not.
Wow. That helps, I think, with the data protection, Mr. Tibbetts, the confidentiality, the privacy, and the or as my friend said, the privacy. For sure. Is it prefer, Mr. Jones?
Whichever.
No, but with that, though, there are some of us, even though we may be, to some extent, very, very comfortable with technology. We like paper-based. I'm one of them. Sometimes a pencil versus a pen, but I like paper. With this review and the usability of not just the applicant making, the initial foray into the application, but the reviewer. How do we ensure that looking at it, it's compatible? They can see it. They can share it with their colleagues as they need.
Yeah, I think so you're right, and it all factors into privacy, and privacy also extends into who's in control, of the decisions around it, which is a key element, and I would say the reviewer side is the easier side from this perspective, and as much as obviously the ministry, the department, they determine who the reviewers are and what the requirements are for the reviewer. The difference is on the customer side. Obviously, you can't specify your customer's approach and their ability to use a particular technology, etc. So I think, from the reviewer side, that's pretty straightforward, and it's really about driving efficiency and in line with the department or government's objectives there. From the customer side, it's making sure that it is accessible, that it is convenient, and this in of itself is a big component of that. Making sure customers have access to the services 24/7, for example. I suspect many of your clientele actually would struggle to have the time during the working day to interact directly with the team, whereas they can now complete and process their applications outside.
All right. Mr. I want to ask of you in terms of the applicants and if any changes, but first, Mr. Jones, from the perspective, if it's not an proper question asked at this time, sometimes we have funding allocated for a particular thing. So let's go on the premise of the Early Childhood Assistance Program. We have the applications come in, and as they're approved, does the system allow you to say, okay, we've had 10 applications, X dollars, have been committed. We now have the pot of Y, and then we can get a difference. Does it give it to you in real time?
I don't think we have that in real time.
Mr. Tibbetts
will be able to tell me that a little bit better. But I don't think we have that in real time. But it allows us to be able to obviously get a total, and then from that total be able to determine. But we do know what we have in our budget already.
Right.
So from that total we will know what we have available.
Yeah.
From then.
And I guess I should explain my thinking. That's something that we could do within our own selves in terms of our budgeting. How difficult would that be to do, Mr. Tibbetts? And is that something that would be beneficial so that you're processing? And
I think, obviously systems, it's a matter of how you achieve it, and if it's not achievable within one platform, you can oftentimes couple it with other platforms to achieve these things. But it's really down to what are the key requirements for the business, for the customer. And in this case, you're talking about the internal the internal customer, for at least for us we consider the internal customer as ECAP, and around what are their key requirements. If this is a key requirement for them, it's a matter of prioritization and finding a solution and a viable solution in terms of cost benefit, etc. So
Right.
it's I don't want to try to give you a very vague answer, but
No.
it's not an absolute. It is, could we achieve that if that was necessary? I'm sure we can with this system or in conjunction with other systems.
Yeah.
It's a matter of where that fits in their needs.
Yeah. And this is where I think as we start exploring more options and see some of the increasing demands that we could make it so time sensitive, but also so efficient that you could even have votes sometimes from one section to the next to facilitate if we embrace it with that sense. Mr. Arbor, with that in mind, I was just thinking out loud. So, from your clientele perspective and your applicants, any changes? What are the criteria? What's different? What's better?
The criteria is pretty much the same, but there's one big change, and we have been advertising that change since March, and that is that we now require an official letter issued by work, so the Workforce Opportunities and Residency Cayman, acknowledging the child's right to be Caymanian. So in the past we were accepting grandparents, birth certificates and things like that, but now we have gone along with registration and scholarships, and we have the one letter document to prove that the child has the right to be Caymanian. And I must thank work, because a person over there or a team of people over there is working very hard, because the applications that have come in so far, all those letters have been dated March, April, and May of this year. So thank you to them, and thank you to the parents for going ahead and filling in that C-27 application and getting that paperwork for themselves.
All right. And the funding is still there. I know in the past there were differentiated funding.
So we have two types of funding. We have supplementary and we have basic. Supplementary is $500 per month, and then basic is $305, and it is a means-tested financially means-tested criteria. So depending on how many dependents that the family has and the income that they earn.
Okay. And then this would be, once you satisfy that you're Caymanian or right to be Caymanian, this would be for through ages and stages and places and so on.
The child has to be 3 for the academic year. So that would be a child that is born between September 1st, 2019 and August 31st, 2020.
Gents, we just missed it.
By a week.
But this is where I think that commitment to education and the notion that child can be engaged in a learning center early on without the parents themselves. So to the education ministry, I think the Honourable Minister has always been a very, very strong proponent as an educator herself.
Exactly.
I'm continually encouraged to see how our government's allocation of its resources and through the teams like all about e-government, making sure that it's more efficient for us. As we come back from the break, but before we go, Mr. Jones, something you would want to share with us?
Yeah, I was just saying that I think from our perspective, we are closely looking at the whole idea of early childhood education. We see it as the foundation and the start, so we need to be focusing a lot more on what happens in those areas. I think we have moved towards the funding now being year-long, so I think Mr. Darby would know a little bit more about that. But we've moved it to year-long funding so that even during the summer months, those kids are still allowed to be in the centers during that time. And there are other initiatives that we are working on from the early childhood education area that is trying to promote this as being a main area focus, so that we understand that those kids get the right foundation so that they can develop their learning and throughout their school life and even beyond that to adult life as well.
All right. Perhaps when we come back, Mr. Darby, we'll start with you and ask about what I guess the beneficiaries sort of expected of them, how the funds are dispersed, how their beneficiaries are selected, different little things, so people appreciate that there is a plan and there's a process and it works well. All right, join us after the break, and then after the headline news at 1, there'll be some open line.
Here at Savannah Pharmacy, our pharmacists do a lot more than just count out your pills and fill prescriptions. They undergo extensive education in the study of how the human body uses and responds to medicine. They have also built up years of experience in real-life counseling on how to take medication safely. Our pharmacists are on the front lines in keeping our society healthy. Don't risk it or hesitate. Contact us or schedule a consultation with one of our pharmacists today. At Savannah Pharmacy, we care about your health.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Circle of Love Women's Ministry is celebrating 10 years of impacting the children of the Cayman Islands, and we're so excited about our Child Month celebration. Our goal has always been to empower and uplift the children in our community, and we're proud to say that we've achieved that over the years. But none of this would have been possible without the incredible support of our community partners. The Ministry of Innovation and Social Development, Ministry of Education, Motif Media, Burger King, Persona Events, Crichton Properties, MJ Party Rentals, Caliente Productions, Mitchell's Trucking, and the exceptional staff at SEMA and CNB. Thank you, sponsors, for investing in the children of the Cayman Islands. If you'd like to become a community partner, contact Shonda Hunter at 922-3229.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks very much for our civil servants, not just for their continued, dedication, commitment, and but for their time here to share as the acting Deputy Chief Officer, Mr. Jones, over in the ministry, together with the Director of Government, Mr. Tiverton, Mr. Deborah Borden, over at the Early Childhood Care and Education Center. Just your presence here should be indicative of the importance of this initiative, the commitment they have, and the desire for the public to see it as accessible, to see it as being part of who we are, where we are, and what we're doing, and how to do it. So the Early Childhood Assistance Program. I want to ask of you the notion of the funding process. How beneficiaries are selected. Are there any changes relative to before? Once they're approved, how the funds are dispersed? Could we ask that?
Sure. So it's they're selected. It's very transparent. It's basically based on the criteria that's set out in the application, so that the child is Caymanian, the child is 3 years old before September 1st, 2023, and then it's means tested, financially means tested, so depending on the income that the family is earning, and the ceiling of that is $4,998 per month, and the number of dependents that they have as well will determine whether it's supplementary or a basic funding. We do also have some families applying under extenuating circumstances, which again, when you log on to moeapplications.gov.ky, there are some documents there, and the information, you can click on them, frequently asked questions, the application guidelines, all of them are there. They can click on them, and the extenuating circumstances are explained there. So if a family is experiencing health concerns or health issues, or they have a serious family emergency, or a child with special educational needs or a dependent with special educational needs, they could also look at applying for ECAP under extenuating circumstances.
Okay. So once the applicant, whether it's joint two parents or whether it's a single, once the applicant is just $4,998, that's the maximum income.
That is the maximum.
And then look at all right. Yeah. And then the disbursement of funds straight to the center or how?
Yes. Can I go back? The 4,998 is the maximum, but we do deduct the pension and the health insurance deductions from that. And then if the funding is granted, the money is sent directly to the center the child is attending each month.
And I think as Mr. Jones shared earlier, unlike in the past when it was just for the academic school year, it was 10 months. Now it's through the summer.
It's for the 12 months through the summer, yes.
Parents work during the summers too.
Yes. And if a child changes a center, we just ask that they inform us ahead of time, and they are also aware of the center that they're leaving's withdrawal policy. Some centers require a 30-day notice period, so ECAP would pay up that notice period, and then once they've given the notice, if they're changing centers, they can do that at that time.
Okay. And then they sort of, sometimes we get something, but we're required to do something in return. And sort of particular expectations as the recipient?
Well, we would like them to keep us updated with their contact information. Sometimes your contact information changes so that we can get in touch with them. We'd ask them to ensure that their contact information is updated with us, that if they are changing centers, to inform us of that. That would be the expectations. But then they can also, take part and be part of an active part of the center the child attends. So whether that's part of the PTA, whether that's, going in and reading on a special reading week or something, any parent that can do that, regardless of if they're getting ECAP or not getting ECAP, it benefits both the parent and the child as well. Yes. And if they are in need of any kind of support, the Family Resource Center also provides some support that they can seek out.
I think, Mr. Jones, if I come back to you, sort of pivot into what Mr. Tibbet shared earlier, that connectedness across the spectrum and platforms, that interaction between various agencies and delivery with the ministry, from what Ms. Darber shared, whether it's Family Resource Center or other aspects within the ministry or without, you can have that overplay and interaction so that the parent and the child benefits. But this funding, for those who are listening, this is a 3-year-old. Right? This isn't the person who is in school at that grade 1 or primary 1 or whatever it's called. This is those very early years. Committing that kind of funding for parents, not just for child care, but for child care in a learning center, it bodes well for what a country could be in terms of its human development.
Yeah, and we actually wish that there was more that could be done as well. We are doing some other work with the younger kids in terms of trying to ensure that they are ready as well and preparing them for school. But the whole idea of it is that we'll do as much as we can to ensure that those kids are provided with the services that they need in order for them to be ready for that stage of education and to support them through their schooling.
Because I think as I listen to what you shared and what Ms. Deborah has over the years, the notion that these are very, very important years in that child's life. You want them to, I keep finding myself more inclined to say, to play, to have fun while they're learning, not to be so bogged down, but then they can't be at home or elsewhere where they're not being nurtured.
Right.
So,
and we are actually working on a public, some public announcements and programs for parents themselves so that they get an idea of some of the things that they need to do in order for those kids to be successful in their schooling. So that will be probably coming out pretty soon, where we are just promoting some of the key things. Sometimes people feel that the kids are just young; they don't bother them with certain things. And the fact is, it's not really bothering them. But if you give some direction to parents, you'll see the tremendous difference that it would make in terms of that child and how that child progresses through school. So we're trying to provide that sort of information as well, along with, because that goes along with the whole idea of the funding, is also providing that additional information to parents as to what they can do to ensure that that child has the right start.
With Mr. Tibbetts and the government sort of platform, we've been told how they've looked at other jurisdictions to see, what they use, what they do, what we can. Has the Education Ministry similarly looked at that relative to other jurisdictions as a comparative analysis?
Yeah, definitely. So all of the work that we do, whether it be in terms of making decisions, putting together decision briefs to make some changes or whatever the case may be, or even looking at some of our the projects that we are doing, we always try to see how much information we can gather from other jurisdictions who've gone before and see what they have done and are doing, and then make a decision. Not all of them will fit exactly into our particular circumstance, but we could certainly use the information to help us to make a decision as to how we want to go about it.
Indeed. Well, before we ask Ms. Dabra for final thoughts, Mr. Tibbetts, I want to maybe just come back to you. Platforms like these portals, we want them to be accessible, easy, almost intuitive. You just do it and it's done. From the perspective of this new portal, how does it work? I mean, it's good to be when you're knowledgeable, but then there's people like me who are not so sure.
Well, I think that's at the heart of what was the work that was being done by the collaborative team of eGov unit and the department ministry. It was looking at it from a customer experience perspective and trying to keep that simple. I mean, it's one of the things that we've really been driving as we've gone. If you're starting to see a trend now of consistency in the brand in terms of the look, colors and layout and so forth. And we, not every platform you can implement that fully, and depends on, you do run into constraints, but you can get to where there is a recognition of commonality and expectation.
Branding, huh? Yeah.
Right. So there's that, and then, but going through that's your first start. But going through, looking more at the actual process, and as I was saying earlier, having the customer be able to focus on answering a specific one question at a time, as opposed to having to try to figure out where they're going to go through the entire process. Being able to start to a point. Okay, I need to get something and come back. All of those elements are baked into what was delivered, and I think we will continue to refine that, as I said, because you'll recognize that you wrote a question and the question makes sense to you, but maybe not to an applicant. So we have to continually refine that, and I think we have the capability to do that as we've gone through. To that end, actually, right now I'm expecting in the very near future to actually hire on staff UX UI designer, which is user experience, user interface designer post. Matter of fact, I'm hoping they will do an offer letter this week or next week.
I'm gonna get this one.
We've run the recruitment already. I mean, and it's a key part of with most of our projects, and that we go through really trying to make sure we nail down what is it from the customer's perspective.
Which is important, because if you think back to just maybe an exam paper, the question is asked, then you think about it. I know the answer, but the way the question is asked, it can affect us, right, Mr. Jones?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just amazing. All right.
And I think one final thing I would say on that is that I know the team did actually have a customer. What was it referred to as? But basically a beta testing with actual customers.
A soft launch.
Right, a soft launch to get some of that feedback.
And I commend. I mean, it's about moving things forward that is accessible without taking away, the other conveniences that people may have been accustomed to, but whether appreciating that there's a transitional phase that helps effectiveness. With that, Ms. Dabra, sometimes we just need questions answered. We need to know who to ask, and who do we contact for additional information?
So you can contact the ECC unit. Also on the application website, the MOE applications.gov.ky, there is a tutorial, so a video that talks you through the whole process from logging in all the way through to where you submit it. So they can watch the tutorial as well. It's about 6 minutes long. And if that does not answer their questions, they can email ECAP, ECAP at gov.ky, or they can call 244-3155 or 244-6605.
All right. Well, if you wish, Mr. Jones, final words, sir.
No, I was just about to say that we mentioned it already, but I just want to highlight the tremendous support that we got from our eGov partners and running this project through. I thought it was really helpful. Miss Darby did a tremendous job in spearheading the work, but I think that the support that we got from eGov really pulled us through, and I want to thank the team for their efforts in ensuring that we get this up and running. We are very excited about it, and we are looking forward to lots of people making the applications and registering and getting the assistance that's needed for the children.
Well, if it's a phone call.
I would like to thank eGov as well, and also Computer Services Department in the government. They also provided great assistance and guidance, so thank you to them all.
Was it teamwork?
And yeah, it makes the dream work, right?
Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity, and it was a fantastic experience working with the team, and I'm blessed to have a fantastic team.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I learn much when you guys come home, man. Okay. All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, I mean, if you have a child in that age group, no better way to find out. And the funding for this September, keep a child engaged, and it's commendable that the government has been so consistent, with its contributions. All right, let's pause, and when we come back, let's enjoy the rest of the day with Paul and myself. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Yes, read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. 40 events across 5 days and 3 islands Cayman Art Week is coming up. Visit CaymanArtWeek.com for profiles of all participating venues, as well as the full list of the scheduled events, tours, lectures, and workshops. CAW is from May 30th until June 3rd. In international news, police have had more than 200 tip-offs about unidentified women murdered in the Netherlands, Belgium, and Germany. It comes a week after the 3 countries launched a campaign with global policing agency Interpol to find the names of 22 women whose bodies were discovered between 1976 and 2019. It is the first time Interpol has gone public with a list seeking information about unidentified bodies. Police said the women deserve to get their names back. A 1-year-old boy has died and 23 people are missing after a hippo hit their boat, capsizing it in Malawi's biggest river, police say. Rescue teams are searching for survivors, but hopes of finding anyone alive are fading as the accident occurred on Monday. The boat was packed with villagers who were crossing the Shire River to work in their fields as they normally do. For reasons that are still unclear, a hippo attacked their boat this time. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea, spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva,
whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honour shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown harbour. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honoured at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. It is open line. And I don't know about you, but sometimes you look at the calendar and you go, is that really what day it is? Is that really what date it is? Is that really the month? I don't know. Well, it is. And if you're not sure, because sometimes I need to be reminded, well, give me a call and tell me exactly what day, date, and time it is today, because it's good to be informed and included and ensure that you have that level of opportunity. Well, thanks again to Ms. Barbara Boyden over the Early Childhood Care and Education Officer in the Ministry of Education and the Acting Deputy Chief Officer, Mr. Jones, together with the Director e-Government, Mr. Tibbetts, for coming in. And the new portal, MOE, in the Ministry of Education for its ECAP, the Early Childhood Assistance Program, and the funding for children who will be, age 3 on the 1st of September, to attend early childhood centres. It's really commendable that our governments to date continue to invest so heavily in education, not just in the buildings, not just in the pay, to staff, not just through the scholarships, but the idea that through learning, through continued development, hopefully we can see not just a more sobering civil society, but one that is committed to ensuring that we are extracting, as much from ourselves as we sort of expect and demand of others. But with that in mind, I was asked to relay some of the information that, even though it was a holiday yesterday, got to be a part of a presentation. I recognize that in our jurisdiction, because of either the jobs that some of us do or the employers that we have, it doesn't matter what day it is, whether it's a public holiday, the expectation and the contracts that we sign require that we are working on those, Cayman's sort of identified public holidays. And with that in mind, there was this discussion, and part of which sort of speaks to this idea that we're seeing in many jurisdictions, but if we look at it from the Cayman perspective, the changes in our interactions with each other, the increased notion of the criminality. This particular individual had done some research in a similar jurisdiction a number of years ago when there were changes happening relative to its political landscape, its immigration, and the sort of entrepreneurial, if you would put it kindly, endeavors of some of its people. And the discussion was centered around just this year alone, the reported increases in crime from people being robbed in person, not just someone running along and grabbing something off you and taking off, whether it was your handbag or backpack or their phone or the like that you had in your hand, but actually coming up to you and brandishing a weapon. Sometimes what was alleged to be a gun, imitation otherwise, this thing is pointed at you. It can be unnerving to your business establishment, to the patrons inside, being robbed. Are these behaviors things that are on the increase in Cayman? If they are, what is it? And if we're not willing, as the individual shared, to look very closely and very proactively, engage in addressing that, what then happens? Do we become accepting? She gave as an example, if you were to look at the behavior of the drivers on the road and all of the road users to an extent, she shared, we'll drive sometimes even in order to get to where we're going. She showed a few videos. Thankfully, they weren't very frequent, where an individual, there's a lot of traffic, and for whatever reason, it's not going anywhere. The person, pulls to the side somewhat and just reverses, hundreds of feet to be able to get that space to then turn and go in the opposite direction. Now, that's driving against the traffic, even though you're reversing. But, we were okay with it. To an individual, riding a bicycle, again, going against traffic, or, on a motorbike, weaving in and out, because the vehicle allows that sort of maneuverability. But is that what we should be accepting, expecting, and almost condoning by insisting that there's no level of prosecution or societal prosecution, not necessarily from the police in action? This, she says, where sometimes we dash across the road, or when there's high speed traffic coming, but we think we can make it. Now, prayerfully, that'll be the case, but what if it isn't? Not just, as she says, in some jurisdictions where there are significant fines for crossing in places other than at the posted crosswalk, or when vehicles have yielded to the pedestrian. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad, and you?
Oh, excellent. Very, very thankful. Trust you had a good weekend as well?
Oh, not a lot, but it was it.
Okay. Well, you know what? The day is going to get better.
Yeah, definitely. Following downtown ruralization that was being worked on. Do you know if it's finished and that's it, the icing is on the cake?
On the face of it, I would say no, it's not finished. There's a part of me that always like to be jovial and say, does government ever finish anything it does? I mean, but some people would think that I would be in, facetious, and it's not. It's just that there's always an opportunity for governments to continue. But I think this is, a continuing initiative, and whether it'll extend to redeveloping certain buildings, whether it'll be constructing other buildings, whether it'll be the provision of parks, or the sort of implementation of certain events, or whether it'll be reorienting the direction of some roads, even maybe closing them altogether at sometimes. I'm sure,
Yeah, we got very little roads left downtown Georgetown to drive on, so that would be putting icing completely on the cake, or eating icing off a lean of cake if it was closed off. Probably not left down there.
What do you think we should do? I mean, I want you to talk about whatever it is that you wish to, but in relation to downtown Georgetown, what would you, advise the government that it could do to make it, whether it's prettier, if that's the objective, make it more efficient in terms of moving people, whether by foot or car? What would you do?
You don't want to have my opinion on that.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, Miss Consuelo.
I will talk a little bit about it.
Okay.
First of all, Sterling, we need to have the people for downtown Georgetown after hours, if and when downtown gets to the full decoration and the pedestrians and roads closed off and so forth. Where are the people? We got people coming from the east, leaving up there 5:30 in the morning, trying to get into Georgetown and taking about the same time to get back home some evenings, So who's going to be entertained downtown Georgetown? Who's going to enjoy downtown Georgetown? You know what I mean? And what is downtown there for the average local individual? They will leave East End on a Saturday and a Sunday and a holiday to come back into Georgetown to say, well, we went to Cape Ann number 2, which would be Georgetown, instead of Georgetown, where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But Sterling, this is my opinion, I really can't see much being done downtown Georgetown when it comes to this decoration that they're talking about and blocking and closing the streets off and putting these bunch of palm trees and these little bricks in the middle of the road that takes forever to be laid, and how much that costs so far, we don't know. We never heard anything, but and it costs to a degree in this island here unless somebody get real bad with the government, and then the government come out and give us a figure that probably not even matching what they paid to get their work done. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at old Scotiabank facing let's say the old Comat. You could have parked up there at one point in time. You can't even park there anymore because of all these spikes they got down there. They're just eliminating as much parking space as possible downtown Georgetown, and making it so difficult for people who work in town to go to walk a while to get to their job and getting all sweaty. We're a very tropical island. Outside is hot just about all year round. So we're not really, doing things to convenient or in comfort or people that live on the island. We got to walk a half a mile or 3/4 of a mile, 5 minutes, whatever miles that we got to walk to get to our jobs. And it's raining. We got to get back to our cars in the rain. And not everybody not going to be able to have a little shuttle car to take everybody back to their car that was downtown Georgetown. I think that downtown Georgetown, the only piece of open water view that we have left, and we just need to leave Georgetown alone because I don't see where it's gaining anything for the stores, especially up there on Cardinal Avenue, when people go to park out there and go and shop. Now they got to walk from over Freeport Mall to come over there to shop and try to get a little parking space here and there sometime in Georgetown if there are no cruise ships are in or in that category. And, a lot of people go to Freeport Mall and park, and they don't even hardly buy anything from the Kirks, but they walk into the store and get their card stamped. And I got a strong belief in due time, Kirk's going to change all of that to the fact that the people are not even shopping with them. They're going to have to show a sales receipt where they actually bought something from the Kirk store to get in and out of that parking lot, because to maintain that parking lot, is expensive. And they cannot accept and make every government come in and do all of these things and enfranchising, can't say the word right now, the people of this island, when they got to move out throughout the island, not everybody can take a parking spot, and there's not that many parking spots downtown. So this thing about decorating Georgetown, it's not going to work. No, I don't think it's going to work in I got a strong belief that this revitalization that they're doing has something to do with these 2 hotels that are being built right now.
I am hearing you, but I know that there could be some distortion at times in it. So hopefully the listeners are also hearing. And you just referenced those 2 new hotels. Do you think that sort of level of construction, and there are other projects that are being proposed with increased visitors or also maybe residential accommodation, do you think that could significantly affect not just the revitalization or the development of Georgetown in a negative way? Or should that be an incentive to make it that much more?
I can't say, because you have to wait and see exactly what's going to happen when they're finished built, what how the people are going to gather there. And the tourism season is only 6 months of the year, and how much business they're going to have on a yearly basis. So we don't know that. So we just have to play everything by ear for downtown Georgetown and stop crippling us the few commanders to the left when you want to go somewhere. And when the cruise ships are in, that's one of our main pillows And they get frustrated trying to cross the street. They get frustrated with the taxi drivers can't get up on the main street to take them where they got to go, and they're all bottleneck coming back from the 7 miles, especially get back into Georgetown. It is so much things that is happening in Georgetown that it's not Georgetown no more. I wish it was still like when Cormac Days was there and Mr. Borden and them stores and Miss Iris and all them kind of people stores. They always came in. And I know now I'll come back to that. But Sterling, I want to say something before you let me go.
Of course.
I want to hit on license department, traffic department, I meant to say, and planning. Sterling, I don't care who attend your house into rental, but planning should be involved in that to make sure that these individuals have parking for the tenants that are going to be living in a private residential home. Because Sterling, we got cars parking throughout the island on corners and there by the galores here and there. We got fire trucks that need to come into these baby roads. We got ambulance need to come into these roads. And these cars are being parked on a corner here and there throughout the island. What are planning doing with people, about people's private homes? If they can hold me and matter more from adding anything onto our house without their permission, they got to have some belly to come out and say, you know what? You doing rental in your home, you make sure you got enough space for your 4 cars or your 5 cars that's going to be parked in your private yard and you turn it into a rental home. I have nothing against them renting their places, but do not block the roads for people who is trying to get where they want to go. And then we got fire trucks that want to go places, and ambulance and police want to go places. We don't have a fire lane on the road. We don't have an ambulance lane on the road. You know, so I really feel like something need to be done with planning and traffic department. They need to get out here and do some more work. Only thing here, we ain't got no bodies. We not got no bodies to do this, no bodies to do that. So many people are unemployed. Bring them in part-time and get them out here in the street. Let them walk the streets. Let them drive the streets and see what's happening in our community. Because cesspools smelling throughout the Newlands area. I don't see no trucks down here cleaning those cesspools out.
But is that
next door to it?
Is that the challenge then, that we don't have sufficient enforcement? And in saying that, I don't, if you'd allow me and hopefully say it properly, I don't only mean by the police or the enforcement unit of a particular agency, whether it's through the enforcement provisions of the planning legislature or immigration or what have you, but as a community, the sort of enforcement ethos where as a community we don't just through our actions, right? We don't condone littering, or we don't condone illegal parking along the roads, the dumping and the sort of scrapping of derelict vehicles. Is it that as a community, and now followed by extension increasingly across the country and all 3 islands, that we're becoming accepting of certain behaviors, or have we always been that way, but it's only now coming to the fore?
I think that we have been very comfortable here in this island for many years, and everybody was carrying their weight, and as the population continued to grow, and the businesses continue to grow, all you can hear, we don't have enough bodies to come out and do this and come and do that. If you go in and report something, they want to know who's calling. They go and tell the individual, well, so-and-so called, and she lives on so-and-so street. That's not protecting the individual. That shouldn't happen. That's why a lot of people are letting things slide by here in Cayman, because they're afraid of trying to protect their own country and speaking up for what's happening in their own country. And Mary Jane and Alice going to go and tell them who called the station or whatever the case may be. We just don't have no backbone. We don't have nothing here organized properly for the population that we got here. We got some laws, they're not being enforced. We need more new laws because everybody is doing their own thing, and that's not how Cayman was. And it is just sliding out of our hands left, right, and center, and nothing is being done about it. And when something do happen that it can't be controlled, then they're going to want to step in. Then I think it'll be a little bit too late. I think there'll be a lot of lives probably lost, which I hope never. But we need to take him into our hands and work together and stop eating each other up. And this hatred that this island has, it's uncalled for. And if I don't go to work, I don't eat. And if you don't go to work, you don't eat. So I don't know why we got to be malice with each other for no reason.
But it's interesting you referenced that last part, in that it would seem that we are somehow recognizing the negative changes, let's put it this way, to our personal safety and security, to the sense that within our community, the civility and the sensibility of our people when interacting with each other, we're seeing that deteriorate. And we're saying, boy, if we don't do something about it soon, Cayman's going to be just like, be, fill in the blank to all sorts of places, or Cayman gone. Or if that is something that we're saying to each other, or even sometimes whispering to ourselves, why are we not trying to find a way to address it in a positive way?
Because you have them in the bottom up. They let us down. They're going names. And that's why the people got scared. They got scared. They don't want to help the community. We never had that problem before. All the older police officers many years ago, all you had to sit them on the road or call them or go by the house and tell them what's happening in your neighborhood. And believe me, they were coming down there. They wasn't going to say, Mary Jean, just call me, or Mary Jean came to my house.
Okay.
You can ride their place and go and check out things.
Yeah. I'll be careful, because I didn't study criminology. I don't necessarily have the particular mindset of some others in that vein, right? But we seem, the collective we as a community, we seem to call on the police a lot. And I'm saying that to ask two things. One, are we recognizing that they're people too? They have, just like any employee or would expect of his employee, they have competing interests. They have to be all over the place all the time. But they also are people. They have their personal lives and other stuff. We can only expect them to be where they are at the time that they are, right? They can't be in two places at once, right?
I agree with Sterling, but the fact of the matter, our island is growing with population.
Right.
So if our island is growing with population, that means we need more policemen in our department.
Okay.
I'm going to just put Cayman in the middle of Miami. Just right in the middle.
Okay.
And we probably be by like a pin, the size of a pin in the middle of Miami.
Right. But if you said, like many say, we need more policing. And again, being mindful that I want to have a question. It's certainly not a developed thought process. It's nothing that I've given even a great thought. But there are those who say, well, be careful that you don't A, become a police state and somehow influences that. B, you spend so much money on policing that the money that you could have for education or health care or roads or parks or other things, you just don't have it because now the demands from the community relative to policing. If it's an issue of safety, if it's an issue of trying to say on your roads that you're making sure that drivers drive within the speed limit, due care and attention, all those things. If it's the deployment of policing to address those things, isn't there, at least to my mind, there's a question of a wider societal concern, and we as people, the way we behave and interact with each other, that needs to be addressed. I mean, unless you want, who wants their mom and daddy to hold their hand every day, from birth until they're 99? I mean, at some point you got to be a responsible, mature, sensible individual, right?
Yes, and so getting back to the police and all the schools and everything that we have here that needs attention, we need more. Sterling, if you as a police officer and you drive the street properly every day, and you see 5 to 6 cars on it, you're not going to stop and investigate those cars to find out why they're on the road, knowing that we have ambulance and fire trucks and all that, or even a private car trying to get up to go to take someone to the hospital, or take a chance and drive themselves to the hospital, or drive a family member or a friend to the hospital with the flashes on. Sterling, I come to the conclusion that the whole thing about this whole Baby Island that we call Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
It is just completely out of control. Past government, future government, and present government, they all say that they got all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
When they get in there, I don't know where all the answers go to the solution that we the solution to the problems out here. We are just keeping our eyes closed to so much stuff that is going on, which is uncalled for. And you know what it boils down to me?
Mm-hmm.
We are just trying to hold on to population. But let me tell you something. Population, God forgive me, is going to be ruination, and it's been a ruination now, but it's going to be the 100% complete ruination for this island. Because if you don't start nipping stuff in the neck right now, we'll never be able to do anything when it's completely out of hand. When fire is being got in just about every road.
Yeah.
There's roads blocked off with machetes and blocks and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
It is coming, and I pray it never do. At Sterling, I don't know who this problem has to go to, but the police department, they're out here. They do so much and no more. They drive with the windows up. They're on their phone. We got these meters on the road. We don't know if anyone has been caught speeding. We got cameras. We never heard how many cameras pick up speeders or anything in that category. So I don't know. I don't want to say about Cayman anymore, Sterling.
Well,
It's
you said a lot, and I think sadly we all are saying similar things. But as you shared, are we acting, in a positive, productive way to address it? You referenced nip it in the bud. At some point, I'll ask you as others, what are those things that we need to nip in the bud? And now has the bud blossomed? Is it too late?
The bud has blossomed fully,
Mm.
and the leaves, it is so bloomed that the leaves can't even die and the blooms and the flowers won't die on the tree.
All right. So let me ask you, right?
The share, you see the mangoes, you got the share?
Yep.
Mangoes are the lowest.
Yeah. Let me ask you, right?
Right in center.
Yeah. And perhaps a question to you, if you choose, now and or other times in the future, but to others as well. Given what is happening in Cayman, you referenced then the government, and I think many of us immediately would probably mean, oh yeah, those are the politicians, the ones we elect. What is it that we expect of them? And in the process, when they're doing this, that, and the next thing, are they then able to do those things as well as pay attention to the policies that would make the country safer, more stable?
They took the job. The job is very large, and it's a small island, and you're going to have 100,000 people. If anyone else said they can't take the job and do the job right, come out of it.
Okay.
Because the job needs to be done. You cannot go and do a partial job. You got to work on everything.
All right.
That's why you got, 19 members? 19 members. When the backbenchers are in the backbench, they can get a thing passed.
Mm-hmm.
Everything up front is passing, but the backbenchers can't get nothing passed. What I got to say about the backbenchers, when they form the government, they need the backbenchers. So I'm doing wasting government money, so they can't get nothing passed. They're just sitting down there.
So let me ask, right? If I might, how do you think our people, the voters in particular, would respond if the government of the day, or one or two or three or four politicians were to get up, not only in the House of Legislative Assembly, but on their political platforms and their offices, and they say, listen, we're going to do a few things. Let's see, we're going to put some strict restrictions in place relative to population, picked up on what you're saying, maybe development, maybe other things that in the short term could potentially make people a little bit uncomfortable. Those hard decisions that we keep saying that need to be made, but nobody has the courage to make it. If politicians were to do that, how do you think they're going to be sort of treated? Do you think they're going to be re-elected? Do you think the society is going to appreciate that?
They need to show tough love.
Okay.
Tough love and hard love. We are not here to give nobody no favoritism. We are here to run a country and run it in a way that everybody feels safe and protected. And we have what we need to have are such a baby island that we have to depend on the rest of the world for everything. That is their top priority, to take care of us. And when I say take care of us, I'm not talking about no hand down. If they want a hand down after they take care of us, it's making sure that our roads are in order, our roads are free from traffic. The people is following the rules and regulations that we still have here and need more of. The speed meters on the road, are they being turned in to see how many cars speed for one day? The cameras that's up on the poles, are they working, and are they reporting license plates that is being driving more than normal? The government is just, they are getting paid to do a job. And don't care how rough and tough the job is. They're supposed to stand up and say, you know what? I have to do this job right, because this is my people who put me in. This is my country. And if I can't protect my country and my people, who else can I protect? I could have all kind of money in the
Yes,
bank.
ma'am.
That never do nothing for me. I need to protect my people that put me in this, and who didn't put me in, I got to protect them too.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you sharing, and I'll tell you want to, maybe some others will weigh in and take courage and strength from what you have. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good afternoon. Okay. Let's pause and take that break. When we come back, give us a shout and share your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp call if you wish. 925-3261 as well as the toll-free line. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Are you tired of waiting in long lines at the pharmacy just to fill a prescription?
If what, child, let me tell you.
Well, now you can save time and money with ValueMed's online prescription service. Visit ValueMed's new website, valrx.com, and click the Refill Subscriptions button. Fill in your information and choose your preferred pickup location. Or email your prescription refills for ValueMed Walkers Road at rx-wr@valrx.com, and for ValueMed in Boddentown, email rx-bt at valrx.com. Say goodbye to the hassle of waiting in lines and hello to the convenience of online prescriptions with ValueMed Pharmacy. Visit valrx.com to place your orders today.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Quitting smoking isn't easy, but it's absolutely possible. Here's how you can do it. 1. Decide you want to quit. 2. Get the help you need. And 3. Follow through. We're here to help you on your journey to kick the habit. Call the Public Health Department on 244-2889 to register for the next course beginning on May 31st. This message is brought to you by the Public Health Department in conjunction with the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
If you're a parent, you know that providing your child with a quality early education can be expensive. However, the Ministry of Education offers funding through the Early Childhood Assistance Program to help Caymanian children attend an early childhood center. This year, the ministry has introduced a new online portal, moeapplications.gov.ky, to make the application process more convenient. Visit the website now to learn more or get started.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It is open line as we go straight to the phones. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dwayne, Miss Susan, and to all our listeners.
And to you, sir. Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. No work here today. I just have some time to give an update on the busy weekend with the fishing tournament.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. On Friday, we had 20 boats in the fishing tournament. On Saturday, 18, and on Sunday, 21. And we had 15 boats from Grand Cayman participating in the fishing tournament. 4 boats from Cayman Brac and 2 from Little Cayman. And things went well, except the fish wasn't biting as like how they would like it. There was only 4 wahoo caught in Cayman Brac that were legible size to be over 15 pounds for the prizes, and 4 dolphins and 1 tuna. And there were 5 boats fishing off Grand Cayman, and they only landed 1 tuna at 57 pounds and 1 wahoo, 1 kingfish at 27.2. So around Grand Cayman, it wasn't much activity either. And I would like to say a big thank you to all those persons who gets ready and makes the journey across. Roughly, some of them have to travel 100 miles in their boats to get to Cayman Brac. Thank all of them for supporting us over here in the Bright every year. And I be the one that mans the tournament control, the radio operator, and the record keeper of all the activities that is going on. So I want to give a big thank you to all those people who come over here and support this. And it was established by the late Steve Foster and Mr. Wes Burgess and some other people like Lawford Tatum, and they have memorial prizes in the memory of Mr. Steve Foster, Mr. Wes Burgess, and Mr. Lawford Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
And all those persons who were involved in getting this set up for the Sister Islands. It's a great event, quite an incredible event. Every year this happens, and it's a good thing. It brings money to the economy, and people unite together with the boating activities of being a maritime seafaring island. And on Sunday, Mother's Day now, I brought in a ship to celebrate Mother's Day for all the mothers that were out there in the boats trolling. A ship passed by just a half a mile off Spot Bay and the creek, and then turned off and went on its course. So it did 10 long blasts of the horn to celebrate Mother's Day. And our great seaman, Mr. Brady Porter, that was laid to rest on Saturday.
Yes, sir.
I had 10 blasts of the horn honoring Mr. Brady Porter, and his daughter, Eileen, the custom officer, was right there with her family, watching the ship come by and do the tribute for her father. So, and also Mr. The gentleman from Grand Cayman, Mr. Rudy Powell. Rudy Powery.
Yes, sir.
That was the gentleman that the tribute was given to. The 10 long blasts of the horn were given for Mr. Gladstone Porter, Mr. Brady Porter, and for Mr. Rudy Powery. And the additional 10 blasts of the ship was given for the mothers of Cayman Brac to celebrate their Mother's Day. So that was quite an incredible, outstanding accomplishment that I got done on Sunday for Mother's Day, and that was very nice.
You know, this is where I appreciate what you have done and continue to do, and maybe we'll see it as part of a way to show that level of respect. Yeah. But is there more that we can do now while the people are here, not just for them, but for us as a country to appreciate the maritime heritage, but also, as you said, to bring us as a people together, to unite more and value each other?
Yes, sir. Some more can be done, definitely so, and I will be 100% supportive of.
Any ideas how? Any ideas what?
No, that. Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I was asking, any ideas from you as to what those things, more can be done, but what would you suggest could be done to bring us closer together as a people, to appreciate our maritime heritage, to appreciate the safety that we have, to appreciate the changes that are taking place and are always, for our betterment. So what more can we do? What would you say to the wider country but today?
Based on other things that are happening and chosen and given holidays for other certain activities and high-profile persons, I would say my choice would be to select a specific day as a holiday for our seafarers and their wives and all the seafaring family, and the fishermen that go out to catch the fish at sea, to the people that went around the world risking their lives to provide a living for their family back home. So
yeah, would you
of remembrance, a day of celebration, I would suggest to select for that. Over.
Yeah, would you change one of the existing holidays, or would you introduce a new holiday?
Introduce a new one, because the ones that are there now they are put in place for certain applications, certain celebrations and honoring. So not to change any of those, just a new one.
Which, if and thank you for being willing to share your opinion. Which month? I mean, we've got 12 in a year. I don't think we can introduce a 13th, but which month of the year would you have that holiday?
Well, I would have to think about it.
Yes, sir.
Consider it, and then give you a reply on another.
Of course, I appreciate that. And even
at the time of celebration, when it's getting Christmas time, where everyone unites and celebrates together, just figuring rather than being during the year, during the other months of the year, probably around Christmas time would be a better time to select for that public holiday, honoring all the seafarers, families, wives, fishermen, everyone that provides anything pertaining to the sea.
And what day? I mean, does it matter if it's a Monday or a Saturday? Would you have a preference for the day of the week that holiday is observed?
Yeah, would be on a Saturday when most people are not working with their routine duties, like working with government, etc. On a Saturday, where people would be off and could participate, could be involved in it, that would be the better day. The day that I would choose, I know that would be a better day.
Okay, so you're not then...
Or also for churchgoers Saturday, and then we have churchgoers on Sunday, so that's another thing there as well. But the work day, 5 days a week from Monday to Friday, and then our people mostly is off on Saturday, so Saturday probably would be the best day.
All right, so a holiday on a Saturday that not necessarily taken away from the regular work week of Monday through Friday.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, business owners might say that would be, not a bad thing relative to, interrupting the work week. Other people might say, well, what's the point of a holiday if I can get a day off work or double time when I work? Anything else, Mr. Raymond, sir?
Yes, I want to talk about a freak storm that we had last night. I was actually at the Brick Reef visiting with some friends, and we had a thunderstorm moved in last night at around 8 o'clock, and I tell you, in all of my life, during the month of May, I never seen a squall like that. So we're talking about climate changes. That is something that you would normally have in June, July, or down the first part of August when it's really squally weather. But this was last night. I estimate it blew to about 60 miles an hour, because the table that we were sitting at, it blew the umbrella away from the table, caught it up on a coconut tree, and I seen chairs on the table flying from where it was, and the umbrella ended up about 100 feet. So that was some intense wind. And we also had thunder and lightning to the extreme. We had a potential thunderstorm at the west end of the island going on for about 45 minutes. The people that were visiting the Brick Reef, they had to stay on their shelter there until it subdued roughly 45 minutes to an hour later. And we can expect more of these storms because of the intense heat that we have in the day, and the heat emitting out of the ground, and also Cayman Brac has the massive rock, the bluff. And when that heat is meeting up with the atmospheric temperatures that is coming by into the storms, that is like gas on a fire when the heat coming out of the bluff meeting up with the approaching thunderstorms. This came out of the south last night, and right now we have a small thunderstorm over the east end of Little Cayman. And just say to people, be very cautious with those freak storms. Don't leave Little Cayman coming to the Brack if you see one of those squalls coming, or even going from here to Little Cayman, or coming from Grand Cayman to Cayman Brack. I mean, that was something intense last night. That was a phenomenon for this time
Yes, sir.
of the year.
Well, as you said, being mindful of that, so that when we are traversing the seas, respectful of the women, just leave us there for now as we take this break, but we'll continue discussion with you another time. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
If you're a parent, you know that providing your child with a quality early education can be expensive. However, the Ministry of Education offers funding through the Early Childhood Assistance Program to help Caymanian children attend an early childhood center. This year, the ministry has introduced a new online portal, moeapplications.gov.ky, to make the application process more convenient. Visit the website now to learn more or get started.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks again for joining us. It is open line for this, truly what promises to be another terrific Tuesday, especially, coming off the heels of another holiday. Share with us if you are inclined. Some of us are still in vacation mode. Some of us are thinking, wow, it's not going to be long before Christmas. I better get cracking. Yeah, that's that are transpiring. But it is open line as we invite you to call and share your thoughts with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free if you wish. Flo has allocated 1-800-534-8255. 55, if that works for you. And then the WhatsApp now is available to call if you want to use that avenue as well. WhatsApp 925-3261. You can message, you can record a voice note, or you can call it. And if it's your intent, well, we'll answer it. Now, in relation to the last caller's comments about a holiday to celebrate the people in the seafarers, I know there's been many a champion in recent times. Some have even suggested renaming a holiday, a number of times a discussion on our morning show, For the Record, Mr. Art. We've heard that discussion. Please, make sure that, because you missed it yesterday in particular, that you join him tomorrow morning and get up to speed, get informed, get engaged. Very, very lively discussion always on with Mr. Art. For the Record, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But Mr. Raymond's thought, hey, do it on a Saturday. Now, some of you may think, not a bad idea. Not just from an employer's perspective, but why not? Now, others would say, well, no, that's not how we would do it. Now, I have always thought, and I did not even consider at one point how it may have caused some of the politicians of the day to look at it with a bit of a, what was it the little child said the other day? A stink eye. I know, a new term that I heard. We used to call it cut eye, but a bit different. We have, as it is now, January through July, holidays, and especially this year, a couple of extra ones. But between July and November, there's nothing. I've always thought that September, when we hear much about transitioning and transitional and, all sorts of but between July and November, little transpires in terms of a break to celebrate people. And in limited analysis, we see many jurisdictions having holidays in November to celebrate its people, its labor, its national day, and the like. From the, western sort of global north, we'll see many. And the question is, for you, has September been, not just the midpoint, but that pivotal point when you're leaving school, perhaps when you go into another school, when you miss your parents or your fathers or all these things? Well, let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
I'm Sterling. How are you?
Excellent. How are you today, man? Good to hear from you.
I can't complain. I can't complain.
Wow.
I got rain, I got thunder, I got lightning. I got my life. First of all, I got God and I got my life. And then I got my bottle behind that, so I can't complain.
Why? You got it all then. You got it all.
I pretty much. Yeah. I know I mightn't be rich, but I got richness in stuff, in quality. So that's all I know. Just want to voice my friend there, Miss John, when she called regarding the situation with the policing on the islands. The why that system can't get in a better, Sterling, is because of the laws that has been changed. The laws give the people more right than wrong, and that is what's creating the problem. Because if you call the police, they gotta say, more or less, they have to report it because it's a 911 system, and they have to report what the incident was or whatever the equation going on. They have to attend to that call, but it's not necessarily that they're going to solve these issues that we are facing in the three islands. Just because of how the laws are written out. It isn't there to justify us in no way or no form. It's just there to say that they are doing their job. That is why the system is how that system is mingled today. It's not the same as how it was 25 years ago. And I saw something here some weeks ago, and a couple of days ago, a matter of fact, couple of days ago, of a vehicle driving on the road with emergency flashing lights attached to it. A regular vehicle. A regular vehicle with emergency flashers attached to the vehicle as a decoration.
Okay, so this is not an undercover police car or a government agency.
Just a piece of junk that somebody fix up and got his file of flashing lights and put the lights and thing on it and just going through the street. And it caught my eye from a distance away because, these emergency lights can be, that's why they that color is to be notified or
noticeable, right? Yeah.
And I saw the thing coming flashing behind, so I started to slow down, thinking it was
of course
vehicle.
Yeah.
And when I noticed it's a blue car, and I know who the people are, and I hope they're listening. And here on this car got these police flashing lights on it attached to it down below, and coming through the street flashing these lights. I when you stop and think, I know the police have their job. And I know the police ain't as busy as they should be. But what I am saying to the public is the ones responsible for these type of incidents.
Right.
Because we should be reporting these things that they do not continue. Because you see one car today with it, next week you got to see one of them young guys that say that look neat and they got put it on theirs and it ain't got to be no end. So when you see flashing lights coming through the street in the night, you're not going to know if it's an emergency vehicle or some piece of rubbish coming through the street.
Right. We
not cutting you off, darling, but that is supposed to be a criminal act.
Yeah. I was saying we have the news break. I certainly always enjoy hearing you, but like all our listeners and callers want them to speak. Do you want to hang on or rejoin us later as we take the news?
No, I'll just hang on and just because I only got a couple more things just to say, and then I'll
yeah, I apologize for interjecting. Hopefully it won't put you off your train of thought. But thank you, and after you, we'll talk to the other caller. So just stay tuned.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands Department of Agriculture reminds the public of the role played by animal welfare and control officers concerning the protection and welfare of animals. Animal welfare officers have a wide range of powers under the Animals Law to investigate and prosecute offenders for animal cruelty offences with the same rights and immunities as RCIPS constables. All animals in the Cayman Islands are entitled to a standard level of care for their welfare, health and safety, farmed or domesticated. To report animal welfare issues, call 947-3090 or 916-3051 or email reportanimalcruelty@gov.ky. In international news, the first human trial of a new type of dirty bomb antidote pill designed to remove harmful radioactive contamination from the body is starting in the U.S. The drug is thought to work against several materials that might be used in weapons, including uranium. If it proves safe and effective, it could guard against potential harm from nuclear accidents or terrorist attacks. About 42 volunteers will try different doses, checking for side effects. Martha Stewart has become the oldest ever cover model for Sports Illustrated's annual swimsuit edition at the age of 81. The businesswoman and presenter was one of 4 cover models chosen for the issue, alongside Megan Fox, musician Kim Petras, and model Brooks Nader. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
Creative fashion and design. For all of your prom dresses and other formals, they are your one-stop shop. They specialize in tailoring, dressmaking, alterations, bridal, and tuxedo rentals. They also offer beginners and advanced sewing classes. Come visit them at Unit 8, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road, or call them at 949-0034 or email designfashion03@yahoo.com and make an appointment with one of their creative designers or register for one of their classes. Creative Fashion and Design, where quality fabric meets innovative designs.
Between the traffic, the meetings, kids' activities, there just isn't enough time. Best Health Pharmacy was a game changer. Not only are they centrally located on Eastern Avenue, but they deliver prescriptions for free anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. I could not believe it. When my prescription ran out, they ran it back to me. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, offering free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling DWAYNE EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. So we've got a good gentleman from the back still online and 2 other calls. Hey, thanks for holding on, huh?
Yeah, man, thanks. No problem. Yeah, I just mentioning about that situation there with these vehicles. I mean, something needs to be done, and I just hope that the police deal with that immediately and don't let that slide, that it continue to circulate around this island. The slackness need to be taken care of, and the thing about it is we don't want our government purchasing vehicles, fancy vehicles, just for police drive around. We need the police to do their job, and that people can have a good thing to say about the police force and not, or service, whatever it is now. I think it is service, and not have gripes regarding it, because they have to be there in order to help us in need. We just can't expect them to just overlook everything and see certain people and let them go. And why I say certain people, Sterling, I was driving a certain vehicle Saturday evening, and I was over the limit of speeding. I was doing about 55 and didn't realize it because the vehicle is new, and it rides real smooth, and I didn't notice how fast I was going. And up comes a police car, and because of the type of vehicle it is, it looked like something that tourists would be in. They didn't stop me, or they didn't even indicate for me to slow down or nothing. So we don't want police overlooking certain individuals just to deal with other individuals. And we hope that nobody hear this and they target people, because targeting me would not be a wise idea. I now say that I am in a Goliath thing about it, but I am a person that I don't make trouble. But when I see things, I want to make it clear whether it goes out to His Majesty the King, or it go out to the pauper. It doesn't matter who it go to. All around is all around. Nobody is in it different from anyone. Doesn't matter how much money we got or how much property we have. We are all humans here in this country. And one more thing I wanted to topic on, Sterling, is our agriculture department on this island. And I so can't wait to make it known to the minister that our agriculture department here on this island have to have something set out in place for the people to get the proper feeding for the animals and come away from that old system there in Sport Bay, and everything sort out in the new. They have a beautiful structure there on the bluff.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make sure that they implement everything into that system there and move away from the old termite-infested, rat-infested building that is there in Sport Bay, because that place is a disaster waiting to happen with chemicals and everything else, and people is getting their feed for the animals, and the feed are stale. It's eat out by rats, the bags, and still for years I've been complaining about it, and nothing has been done. So I just hope, and I am hoping to call the minister regarding that something will be done for the people here on this island, and stop giving us second-hand promises. Like I keep saying, Sterling, I am tired and fed up of promises. I am to my neck. That is why one of the reasons, and I hope everybody hearing, that is one of the reasons that I am running for politics this year, is for these things. And I ain't gonna spill my beans because I don't want everybody to know what my left, what my right hand know. But the thing about it is, me running for politics is one thing, but getting things sorted out is another thing.
Yeah, man.
And I thank you for your time, Sterling, and we talk again, man.
Always, man. Thank you too for sharing, all right? Incredible. Let's take another caller. Thank you for holding on, and thanks for calling. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, DWAYNE.
How are you?
Fine, thanks, and you?
Oh, very blessed. Very healthy, very excellent. Thank God.
That's very good. Okay, I want to agree with a lot of those things what those callers are calling, but I want to change on a different note regarding the robberies and stuff that we're having. I know COVID is now not over, but the mask wearing and the things like that, we need to limit them now. Not just if they want to just put a mask over their mouth, it's fine. But I see a lot of people even driving around in their cars with these masks. We are only encouraging people is allowed to cover their face 100%. It's only encouraging crime. Those people need to now be in about it. If you're at your house doing something you need to cover up, that's a different thing. But once you come out in the public, your face should be left open so everybody will be able to know who we are encountering with. Too much encouragement for this thing, and we are bringing it on ourselves. We need to look in. The government needs to now pull back somewhere. I don't know how we can do it. Where these people that are wearing these face coverings, covering all their face, it's not necessary. At this point, as I say, it's not necessary, and we need to do something because we're going to get more crime, and we do not know who they are because behind that mask, nobody knows who they are. And they could come right up to you, and you don't even know who you're even talking to. You might think you hear the voice, but it might not even be the voice it might not even be the person that you think the voice is. We're allowed to cover up our faces with full covering. So something needs to be done about it. I see them come into the bike. You can just barely see their eyes because of just everything here is COVID. I'm not saying that COVID not real and whatever, but I think we need this face covering as it is now.
All right.
So government needs to do something about it. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you for sharing that. And perhaps is safety and concern. Thank you very much for that. Let's take this other call. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Sterling Dwayne.
Hi. Good afternoon, Honorable. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Sorry about the little background noise, but nothing I can do about that. except moving. I don't feel like moving right now.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. It's all good. Too bad that background noise now somewhere out on the water somewhere about, huh?
Yeah, I tried that on Saturday, but no, it didn't work out too well.
Tomorrow's your day, man.
Thanks. A little update. The government put out a notice now. I don't know whether it's on the bulletin board or not. Saying now that landowners can now rectify their land registers for free, as opposed to the $50 per land register. I'm not sure whether that's on the bulletin board or not, but let me just call in and
thank you.
Advise the public that yes, they can now do that between now and the end of July this year. You can change your land registers, update with your new post box, etc. Otherwise, what happened 2 years ago at the meeting with the flooding in Mount Pleasant? A lot of people said they didn't get their notice. So I advise them that if their postal information is not up to date, then that's probably one reason why they haven't received it. So they have until the end of July this year to make the changes to their land register for free.
That's a good reminder. I mean, it's an initiative that I think sometimes we don't even appreciate. We changed our postal address and notices we don't receive them, right?
Correct.
Well, it sounds like we need to have you back in the studio again soon.
Okay. Maybe later down towards the end of the month.
All right. Keep it in mind. All right.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much, and I thank the honourable gentleman for reminding us. So, do the rectification at the land register to update your current information. Let's take this quick call. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
How you doing?
Hey, afternoon. How are you?
Not bad. How are you doing?
Oh man, thank God, doing well.
Good. My topic today might be a little different from the others.
Okay.
If you look at the legislation.gov.ky website, where you can access the laws online for the Cayman Islands. One of the things that I see missing from that website is in each of the laws, each law should contain, technically they now call them acts, should now contain the memorandum of objects and reasons. Because that aspect of the legislation helps you to understand the reason why the law was created in the first place and what it is they were trying to achieve when it was written. That's important because sometimes they don't write things well. And then you get the impression that it's one thing and it's something else they claim.
So the spirit versus the letter, in a sense, maybe helping you to understand it.
Yeah, because without that, you can't really know. You can't really, like if you pick up the legislation and say, I'm going to read this to see what the law is on a certain issue, which they'll tell you that ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you should know the law, right? But you can't really know the law unless that the memorandum of objects and reasons are included, because it is in that part of the legislation that you know what it is they're trying, that they lay out what it is they're trying to achieve.
Now,
right?
To your understanding, to what impact, if any, does that, sort of objects and reasons, how does that influence the interpretation or impact the legislation?
Because if there's an aspect that might not be clear or can go one out of two ways, then the way that it would need to go is, well, you would want to see how is it that what were they intending to do?
Okay. What was the spirit behind it?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, that does not necessarily mean that what is legislated gets ignored and what they intended is what you do.
So,
but when it comes to going to court and the court making a ruling about how to interpret an ambiguous passage, it's at that stage that would become important.
So is that then unlike what we have with the Constitution relative to the preamble?
The preamble sort of sets the historical background of.
But it's not binding. It doesn't have relay.
Well, binding. No, not in the sense that it's outlined. Well, let me give you an example. One of the examples that is often raised recently is the religious aspect. And some people believe that the religious aspect is just in the preamble, but that's actually incorrect. That it's in the first clause of the Constitution. It's actually more important than some people think it is. And so you see, so what I'm trying to get across is that you could intend to legislate something in a certain way, but end up saying something that didn't quite mean the same thing as you intended for it to mean. And I'll give you one simple example. This doesn't have to do with misintention, but it just shows how the current meaning of any piece of legislation, how impactful it can be.
Mm-hmm.
In the animals law, they had a provision that iguanas were protected.
So that would mean,
all iguanas.
Yeah. Yet we had a cull for the green, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to end up waiting for the law to be changed before you could cull them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm like, when you speak to the people who been around legislation for a long time, that's not what they intended.
Mm-mm.
They when that was written, primarily they were only concerned with the blue and rock iguanas,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't specify that. And so because they didn't specify it, it means that, well, you just can't say, well, that's not really what we intended, and do something different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go by what the law actually says, unless the law is ambiguous in a certain way. But
Mm-hmm.
but the point about the articles of memorandum, the memorandum of objects and reasons, is to tell you why the law is being created in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sets the stage for you to understand the reason why it was enacted. And it's only in that context can you understand the words that are written.
Mm-hmm.
You take those same words and you put them in a different context, it'll mean something different or might not make sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they've done it with certain pieces of legislation. I can't remember which one it is. I think it was done under the PPM government. There was one or two pieces of legislation that they've included it in, but it should be the case for all of the acts, because you have to understand the context
Mm-hmm.
in which the clauses relate.
You know, sometimes we don't really appreciate, the importance of something until it's highlighted. So thank you for that. So that, maybe it's just an inadvertent, oversight. And now maybe it'll be corrected. Hey, thanks very much for sharing that. All right.
Yeah. Take care. Bye.
All right. We will pause, take the final break. When we come back, we'll continue the calls. Stay tuned.
Community spirit, cherished family, and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
The Hartwell Theatre will come alive as Cayman National Dance Company presents the 35th season of dance. Its Emerald Celebration, an extravaganza of repertoire pieces, new creations, and remastered dances. Dance should be shared with all who live and breathe, so you do not want to miss the 35th season of dance at the Hartwell Theatre. Friday, May 19th, 6:30 p.m. for the gala. Cost is $75. Saturday, May 20th, 11 a.m. matinee, $10. Saturday, May 20th, 7 p.m. and Sunday, May 21st, 5 p.m. $35 for adults and $15 CI for children under 15. Tickets are available at Radiance Dance Studio, Audiophile Cayman, and Winner Circle Sports, or by calling 926-1826. Sponsored by Cayman National, CNCF, ARC Directors, Water Authority, CUC, BritK, and Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing and calling. And we'll take our two final callers. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
It's a pleasure to hear from you again.
Yeah, we our calls were mixed up, Denny's and mine. But that's okay. That's okay. I know you're coming up to your time, but I want to say that I always try to listen to Jan because she has something interesting to say, and it always concerns us, the people, and that is so good over about the traffic and stuff, and she should know because that's how she make her living. She's on the road a lot. Well, I seen something coming down through 4th Street just now that a little silver, I think it was Fit, spun right around in the road on 4th Street. Just spun right around.
Wow.
In the traffic. And if I was any closer to them or him that did so, I would have run right in him, because I wouldn't been able to stop the way that he spun around. And he was behind me, you know.
Was it that the road was wet from the rain, or do you know?
No. He turned around and got in line again.
Oh, okay. That's what I mean. Okay.
Right around. No.
So it's a deliberate act now, just to change directions.
Yes, because he wanted to get ahead. So let me do this. I can show you all what I can do. Anywhere else that I don't understand about these so-called things we got up on the poles that you never see anybody maintaining them. It's slipping my memory what it is now.
You mean his cameras, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Dwayne. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. We work as a team.
Yes. Yes, thank you. What are they for? I never see anybody maintaining them, and they cost so much. Or even hear that anyone was caught by these cameras, because you hear that one wasn't working. We got it, but it's so smudgy. It wasn't very good, and one excuse after the next. Why it is that we got to keep making excuses when we have laws that are not enforced, like Ms. Jan say, enforce them. All of us with any common sense know that other countries enforce their laws, really enforce their laws, and we depend on government to do this and government to do that, but yet we're not being the Caymanians that we should be, with a little bit of gumption, guts, and everything like our older generation had. And as the young ones come up, they don't seem to have any either. But that's enough about that. What Mr. Raymond said, it is so true. And I still can't find out why don't the government pay him a monthly salary, because he reports things of what's happening out there on our seas. He reports things from the BRAC, what's happening in the BRAC, or maybe Radio Cayman should hire him for the BRAC as their reporter from the BRAC, because we got Susan down here. She will not send her back up there again, because she plays the best kind of music that anyone can play. I mean, you all are good at your jobs, but Susan plays the best music, religious music, Caribbean music, everything, and I thank her. I thank all of you. Then one other thing I want to get at. You know, West Bay, I think, have the biggest cemetery in the island. And I don't know if you notice it, but you can't help from noticing it. The wall, the front wall, well, we don't have a back wall, but we do have a front wall, is crumbling. It's broken in certain places into pieces. The gates are coming off. What walls we have is mildewed. Is that the kind of respect that we're paying to our people? Because it is mostly Caymanians that are buried there, even though that cemetery is full now. I mean, full right straight out to the entrances. But we need to have that straightened up, and I'm speaking to our 4 politicians that we have down here. Pressure wash it, paint it, get that wall back in like how it used to be, so we can pay some respect to our people. To show we can't show them, but some of them have families left here that care enough, like I do. I go and clean up our lots, sometimes even other people's that they got on it, gone but not forgotten, and they didn't even have peat on the vaults. So I'm asking the government, our 4 West Bay MPs, to look about this. This is the first thing you enter in West Bay that you see on the left. The tourists walk through there. I mean, through the beach access to get to the beach. It also needs to be cleaned up from beer cans. I walked through it the other day when I was putting flowers for Mother's Day. Beer cans, cigarette butts. I picked up half a garbage can of cigarette, half a garbage bag of cigarette butts. Beer cans, beer bottles, and they're thrown down on people's graves. And it's not showing any respect at all. They themselves have people buried there. the MPs of our district, and that's what you call being responsible and representing our people in West Bay. I thank you, DWAYNE, for your time. I thank you for letting me get this out today because I tried 3 or 4 times. We need to show respect to the living ones that have people there, and we also need to pay Mr. Raymond a salary.
Thank you very much, Mom, for being...
Thank you, DWAYNE. Thank you for your time.
You're most welcome.
Radio Cayman is number 1.
Always. Thank you for that. And,
thank you.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
And to our listeners, perhaps it is, as the callers have shared, it is important as a people we start to find ways to unite our hands and our hearts, to be unified in our approach to making our society safe, stable, civil. Our actions and endeavors, are they sensible and ethical? Are we prepared, to stand in the gap to ensure that we are indeed our brother's keeper, but also a strong champion and proponent for what is right and just? If we are willing to hold each other accountable as we accept responsibility for our own actions, then maybe as a community we can see that the things that we call on others to do, from the police into the politician, perhaps we will be doing it ourselves because we enforce that ethos in our society that speaks to a value system that is defined by people of honor and integrity, people with ethics and morality, people with a conscience and compassion. And perhaps we have lost our way, and maybe more and more we believing it is for them to do, but is it to them, us? And if we are prepared to lead by example, whether we're the parent, the pastor, the politician, the police officer, maybe, just maybe, we'll have more examples of good than that are bad. But again, it comes to us. Do we have the courage? And do we have, that sense of duty and obligation to do the right thing? Well, let's see where it takes us. Have a wonderful afternoon. God's will. Enjoy Mr. Art in the morning for the record, and be informed, engaged. Come back for talk today after the midday news as we continue, to entertain and hopefully include. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.